This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Alrighty. How you doing, Manny? How you feeling, my brother?
It's great. It's another beautiful day in South Florida, brother. It's what else can we ask for, man?
Yeah. It actually started off a little cloudy, and now it's starting to, at least where I'm at in Pembroke Pines, it was a little cloudy, and now it's starting to open up. Man, there's this ILX. What did you call it? Like a gold color? Mustard gold. God, that thing is beautiful, bro. ILX sports package. Holy shit, that car is beautiful. But anyway, all right, let's get to it. It is clearing up and clearing up for a pool party.
Yes, from a recruiting standpoint, this will be a big weekend. A bunch of guys that are going to be coming into town, obviously, to
We'll get to
hang out.
we'll get to a little pool party in a little bit here. But I know that there is like this thing with running backs right now going on. And I know Matt Merritt talking a little bit about that, and you got the Derek Cooper kid, all this other stuff going on. So talk to me a little bit about running backs and the Canes here in our Canes Wear Miami Hurricanes report.
Yeah, listen, they've done a good job getting commitments. They just got one from Javian Mallory, who's one of the best running backs in South Florida, and they've got a great stable of running backs for this coming season. Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle are going to be the men. You know, we talked about Damian Martinez on Tuesday in the NFL draft and how he's going to be a steal for somebody. I think Fletcher and Jordan Lyle are both NFL backs as well, and that's really going to be, to me, when I look at the Hurricanes on paper, you say, well, what's their front line strength? To me, on offense, it's without question the running back position, right? Because you got your quarterback coming back from a serious elbow injury. You have a bunch of young receivers that have to step up and play well. Yeah, your tight end room looks completely different than it did a year ago when you had a bunch of veteran guys and a guy like Elijah Arroyo. So to me, I look at the running backs, I look at the offensive line and the running game as the strength of this team. And Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle are two guys that I think, you know, going into year 3, right, which Mark Fletcher is, and going into year 2, which Jordan Lyle is, both of them have, you know, hit the weight room really hard. Fletcher has sort of leaned out a little bit, dropped some body fat, added muscle. I think Lyle has added a little bit of muscle to his body, right? Bulked up a little bit more so he can take that pounding. And I think both of these guys right now, the way that they're playing in camp and the way that they're looking, they've got the coaching staff excited about the future because you have a really dangerous 1-2 punch there between Lyle and Fletcher.
And you know, I think this is something that bodes well for Miami in this sense. If we open up and look at the big picture, you tell me if I'm right or I'm just completely a little off here and looking too much into it. But in a world where we do a lot of passing and there's not as much focus on running, and in fact, offensive linemen sometimes when they're getting to the NFL, scouts don't even know how good run blockers they are because they may come from offenses that pass a lot. Well, because of Mario's nature, okay, and also and pretty damn good offensive line coaches too. On top of all of that, if you're an offensive lineman and you're a running back, you don't want to end up always in a passing offense because it may not showcase all your skills as a running back. And if you're an offensive lineman and you end up in a pass happy offense, it may not show your run blocking skills. But if you end up here, okay, I'm a running back. Well, dude, they're going to give me carries and they're going to let me showcase my skills. And then teams are going to see me block because we pass, and they're going to see me run. And if I'm a lineman, well, guess what? I'm going to get to put my hand on the ground. I'm going to get to drive people into the ground. I'm going to get to push people around instead of me constantly getting pushed around because I'm blocking for a passer constantly. So now scouts don't know if I can do everything. Being in this system, if you're a lineman or a running back, it's got to be a little sexier and more beneficial to your professional aspirations. Yay or nay?
No, without question. I think, you know, you want to show NFL teams that you can do multiple things. You hit it on the head. And I think in this offense, the way that Shannon Dawson runs things, the way that the running backs are heavily involved in pass blocking as well, not just, you know, running out and catching passes, but setting themselves up, setting the quarterback up. You get to showcase a lot of your abilities and your skills, and I think ultimately, they have a really good system here for running backs and linemen to thrive, which is what Mario loves. This is what he's all about. This is what Alex Mirabal is all about. They want to showcase those guys and let them thrive. And in the end, when you go back and you look at the greatest Miami Hurricanes teams, the ones that won championships, every single one of those teams, dude, had multiple running backs that were really good and big time contributors that did a lot. Like you said, catch the ball out of the backfield too, right? Melvin Bratton, you think of Alonzo Highsmith, you think of Clinton Portis, McGahee, all of those teams. They did more than just carry the football. They were heavily involved in the entire offense.
Dude, out of the pro day, did it look like Jacobe George was one guy that got like super buzz from all of this?
I think he got some. I think there were certainly some people who watched him and said, "Man, why isn't this guy maybe getting more attention?" As far as a contributor, I think the one thing you got to say with these NFL personnel people is obviously they're looking at the guys that are they're gonna draft. Jacobe George is kind of like a borderline draft pick type guy, at least coming into
he's
the evaluation
guy. Definitely a third day guy.
So to me, it's like until they get here on campus and they see him and physically check him out and then talk to people about him. Jacobe, unfortunately, is a guy who dealt with a lot of like head scratching decisions, right? Just dumb penalties and things of that nature. That was sort of the knock on him. So I think once teams can get a chance to sit down and talk to him, they can make their own evaluation on whether or not they're comfortable with him and willing to take him with one of those day 3 picks. But I think he did well enough from what I heard to generate some buzz and to get some teams interested in him.
All right, you touched on it a little bit. What's where do things stand overall with tight end and linebacker?
Yeah, I mean, look, Elijah Lofton is a ridiculously good second-year player, and I think right now when you look at Miami's situation, they've got 4 scholarship running backs on the roster. They don't have 5, and ideally you want to have 5. And I think the reason they don't have 5 is because Elijah Lofton, in a lot of ways, is viewed as that 5th running back. He is a guy who is going to be utilized in sort of an H-back role, catching balls out of the backfield. Not just lining up a tight end. Miami went out and they got a bunch of other veteran guys to help fill the gap. They lost 3 guys from last year that were contributors to that tight end room, and now you have Alex Bauman, the transfer from Tulane, who's played over 1,500 snaps. A guy that is a red zone threat, doesn't produce a ton of catches, but can block, can be used in the red zone. Jake Nickel, who is the older brother of the freshman quarterback Luke Nickel. They got him from UAB. He's another veteran guy who's been in college for a few years now. So, and then you have the guys that you've been sort of grooming behind the scenes. Jackson Carver. He's a guy who's going to block and be involved. So, I think their tight end room is in good shape. Is it going to be as good as it was last year with Elijah Royal? Probably not, just because I think Lofton is a smaller version of him. He's going to be utilized in a different way, but he can be very, very explosive. And I think Bauman can certainly be used in the red zone and be effective there. And then as far as linebacker is concerned, you have to replace Kiko Mauinoa, who was your leading tackler the last 2 seasons. Wesley Basaint is there. But you need a second guy who's to kind of emerge. And the battle has been, the second and third year players, Raul Aguirre, Cameron Pruitt, Bobby Washington, Malik Bryan, all those guys have been in there getting snaps. But ultimately, I think Jalen Alderman, who was a transfer a year ago, he's got 20 career starts, has played a lot over the course of his career. It'll probably be him and Wesley Basaint to start, and then you'll sprinkle in, the Cameron Pruitts and the Popo Aguirres.
All right, good stuff. As always, don't forget, go to Caneswear, use our code BIG-O10, and go say hi to Brett and Jeff and all the great people out there, man. They do amazing work. They got anything and everything with the Canes logo on it. They got Heat gear, Marlins gear, Panthers gear, Inter-Miami gear. Check it out. Soon to have Fort Lauderdale United gear. Go see Brett and all the people at Caneswear, man. Great people out there. Caneswear.com.
is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.